The moment I stepped onto the shimmering platform, the entire chamber fell silent. A vast, crystalline hall stretched out around me, bathed in a soft, iridescent light that seemed to pulse with every heartbeat. Towering columns of alien stones spiraled toward the domed ceiling, reflecting colors I had no names for. The air hummed faintly, vibrating with an energy I could feel through the soles of my shoes. And at the far end of the hall, sitting upon a throne carved from living crystal, was the alien queen. She was unlike any being I had ever encountered. Her skin glimmered like liquid silver, shifting with each subtle movement, and her eyes, her eyes, were deep pools of golden amber, intelligent and ancient. Her crown wasn't metal, it was a lattice of energy, curling upward in delicate arcs that flickered like tiny suns. Every inch of her radiated authority, and yet there was something intimate in the way she regarded me. I was a human in the midst of a civilization that had existed long before Earth had even formed. My presence here was, by all measures, a diplomatic disaster waiting to happen. Somehow, though, the council had decided to let me attend this audience. I had no training in interstellar etiquette, no knowledge of alien court protocol, and yet here I was, walking toward a queen who could vaporize me with a thought if she wished. The moment my boots clicked against the crystal floor, I felt every pair of alien eyes in the chamber lock onto me. Their forms were varied, some tall and insectoid with delicate wings, others amorphous, shimmering like pools of liquid light, but all watched in perfect, silent attention. I could feel their collective scrutiny, like a weight pressing down on my chest. I had been briefed that this was a formal ceremony, a test of respect between species. But no briefing had prepared me for the surreal majesty of the room. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. My hands were sweating inside my gloves. One wrong move, one misstep, and I could very well offend this entire civilization. Then I remembered why I was here. The Earth delegation had requested an alliance, and this was the final audience. And, oddly, I had been chosen to represent humanity, not because I was the most qualified, but because I was the first human they had seen willing to step forward without fear. I approached the queen, my footsteps echoing through the hall. As I neared her throne, the hum of energy in the room intensified. The floor beneath me began to glow faintly, as though responding to my presence. I stopped just short of the dais, bowing deeply, a human gesture of respect, clumsy compared to their graceful forms, but sincere. The queen's head tilted slightly, and a soft, melodic hum resonated in the chamber. It wasn't a sound, not exactly. It was a thought conveyed directly into my mind. You have courage. That alone earns my attention. I froze. Her voice was not sound. It was perception, woven directly into my consciousness. My heart pounded. This was beyond diplomacy. This was telepathy. And she had just spoken to me. I managed a nod. Your Majesty, Do not speak yet, she interjected, the thought threading around mine like a silken ribbon. You will act first. I blinked. Act first? The audience waited. Every pair of eyes, every form, every being in that chamber was watching. My instincts screamed to retreat, but something stronger, a strange, magnetic pull, urged me forward. The queen extended her hand toward me. It was delicate, yet impossibly strong, the fingers tipped with translucent, crystalline nails. The chamber seemed to hold its collective breath. I hesitated only a moment, then reached out and took her hand. The effect was immediate. The energy in the room surged, brighter, warmer, almost tangible. I could feel her presence entwining with mine, a connection that bypassed words entirely. The queen's reaction was subtle at first, a slight parting of her luminous lips, a faint ripple across the crown of energy above her head. And then it happened, she gasped. Not a sound, but a sensation. A wave of shock that rolled through the chamber and seemed to radiate outward, touching every being present. Some stepped back, others froze mid-motion, and a few even bent lower, as if compelled to bow further. The entire room was holding its collective breath, and the moment stretched, heavy and suspended. I realized what I had done. In their culture, physical contact with the queen was forbidden except under the most extraordinary circumstances. To take her hand without permission was considered an act of either supreme arrogance or supreme bravery. The counselors whispered among themselves, their voices vibrating in my mind like static. But the queen, her mind brushed mine gently, like a hand on silk. "Curious human," she conveyed, "you defy protocol, yet show respect."
Why?
I swallowed, feeling an inexplicable boldness rise in me. "Because," I said aloud, "I wanted to show that we are not afraid, that humanity can meet you as equals." Her golden eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, I felt every thread of time and space converge into this singular gaze. Bold words from one so fragile, she conveyed, amusement rippling through her tone. Then, almost imperceptibly, she smiled. The room erupted, not in sound, but in a wave of energy that swept through every alien present. Whispers turned into murmurs, murmurs into exclamations, all communicated telepathically. "She acknowledges you. She recognizes your intent. She does not withdraw her hand." I felt my own pulse race. Courage, yes, but also something stranger. A warmth, a connection, a thread of understanding between human and alien that no protocol could define. I had never expected this. None of the briefings mentioned that the queen might respond. The queen's gaze softened. "Your gesture is unprecedented," she conveyed. "It is rare for a human to bridge the gulf between our kinds so fearlessly. You honor me, and in turn, I honor you." At that moment, a ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. The council members shifted uneasily, exchanging glances. One elder, a towering being of iridescent stone, leaned forward. "Your Majesty, this is highly irregular." She ignored him, her focus entirely on me. Irregular, yes, yet necessary. The shock in the room only deepened as she raised her other hand, lightly touching my shoulder. The energy between us pulsed, wrapping me in a strange, protective warmth. I felt lighter, as if the weight of an entire planet had lifted from my chest. Then she did something entirely unexpected. Her eyes glimmered with a humor I couldn't have predicted. "Do you know what this means, human?" I shook my head. "No, Your Majesty." "It means," she conveyed, "that you have just become the first human ever to earn my trust without ceremony, without protocol, without trials." A stunned silence fell. Every alien present seemed to reassess me, their thoughts brushing mine in waves of astonishment. I could feel their disbelief, their curiosity, their grudging respect. And above it all, the Queen's presence was steady, unwavering. Then, in a movement so fluid it almost defied reality, she leaned slightly toward me. "Do you understand that in doing so, you have changed the course of our relations forever?" I nodded, words failing me. The weight of the moment pressed down, but it was a comfortable weight, like stepping into a tide that carries you forward. "Good," she conveyed, a subtle smile tugging at her crystalline lips. "Now rise, human. Walk with me." The murmurs among the council grew louder, but they no longer carried judgment. They were whispers of curiosity, of anticipation. The queen rose from her throne, and I, still holding her hand, followed. The hall seemed to shimmer around us, the light bending to emphasize our passage. As we walked together, she spoke directly into my mind. I do not often trust so quickly. You have surprised me. Why should I allow a human such privilege? I took a steadying breath. Because we are capable of more than fear. We are capable of connection. For a moment, she was silent. And then, laughter, a musical, radiant sound that resonated directly in my thoughts. It was the first time I had heard the Queen truly amused. Perhaps, she said, I underestimated your kind. We stopped before the center of the hall, and she turned to face me fully. The energy in the room intensified, enveloping us in a halo of light. You have done the unthinkable, she said, and yet it is not unwelcome. I could feel every eye in the chamber upon us. Every whisper, every telepathic murmur, every vibration of attention. I swallowed. Then, will this be enough to begin a new chapter between our peoples? Her golden eyes softened, and she inclined her head. It is enough for now, human. Enough that I will speak in your favor. Enough that others will see your courage and perhaps follow it. A wave of relief and exhilaration swept through me. But before I could react further, she did something astonishing. Slowly, deliberately, she raised her hand and placed it against mine once more, firmly, in a gesture that seemed both formal and deeply personal. You have my respect, she said simply. And that is a beginning. The chamber erupted, not in sound, but in waves of energy, pulsing outward like ripples on water. Aliens bent slightly in recognition, their whispers carrying a mixture of awe and approval. The elders exchanged looks, but even they could not deny what had just occurred. For the first time, I understood the truth of interstellar diplomacy. It wasn't just politics, treaties, or protocol. It was courage, connection, the willingness to step forward, to act, to reach across a gulf that had existed for eons. And in that moment, holding the hand of the alien queen, I realized that humans were capable of more than fear, more than caution. We were capable of forging bonds that could alter the course of history. The queen gave a subtle nod, almost imperceptible, and I understood it as a gesture of approval, of partnership. Go now, human, she conveyed. Tell your people that the galaxy is not as distant, as alien, as frightening as they imagine. Tell them that connection is possible. I nodded, a smile breaking across my face. The chamber seemed to brighten, the energy pulsing in celebration. And as I released her hand, I felt a strange sense of completion, as if a circle had closed, a beginning and an end wrapped into a single, impossible moment. The audience ended soon after, and I was escorted back to the human delegation. But the memory of her gaze, the warmth of her hand, the shock of the chamber, it stayed with me. I knew that nothing in my life, or the lives of those who would follow me, would ever be the same. Because that one act, the simple, bold gesture of taking her hand, had shifted the tides of history. And everyone who had witnessed it knew it. The alien queen's reaction had shocked the room. But more importantly, it had begun a story that neither human nor alien would ever forget. As I released the queen's hand, the hall seemed to exhale, the tension dissolving into a gentle, shimmering calm. Every being present, counselors, nobles, and attendants alike, stood frozen for a heartbeat longer, then slowly, reverently, bowed in acknowledgement. The shock in their eyes had softened into awe. The alien queen's golden gaze met mine one last time. You have done what no human ever has. You have bridged a gulf older than your planet. Remember this moment. I nodded, my heart still pounding. Those centuries of tradition separated our species, and despite the vastness of space itself, I realized we had just begun something extraordinary. A single act of courage, a simple gesture, had rewritten what was possible. As I stepped back, escorted by my delegation, the light from the Queen's throne glimmered in a pattern that felt almost like a smile. In that glow, I saw the future, a galaxy where humans and aliens might meet not with fear, but with understanding, where connections could be forged not through force, but through daring, heartfelt action. And I knew this truth with absolute certainty. Everyone in that chamber would remember the day I took the alien queen's hand. And her reaction, the shock, the wonder, the acceptance, would echo across worlds for generations. Because sometimes, all it takes is one fearless gesture to change everything.